This is part 1 of How to Play These Are the Days by Jamie Cullum. In this video we'll work on the intro and verse progression. In part 2 we'll work on the chorus, the bridge, and then the overall structure of the song. We are in the key of G major. Instead of playing a very basic 1-2 pattern, we're going to make it feel more bluesy and more jazzy by incorporating swing. What we get with that is this. This is middle C for reference. We're going to build our first chord, which is a G7. Starting with our left hand, we've got G for our root note, and then for our 7th we play this F on the top of that. So G, F, our right hand plays this G here, then B for our major 3rd. On top of that, we've got an octave G, which we use for most chords that we play for this chord progression. So altogether it was G, F, G, B, and then this octave G, which again we use quite a lot for all the chords. Now what we're going to do is use this B flat here, so our minor 3rd, and slide up to our B, which is our major 3rd. It's a very common technique that we use throughout the song for our licks, to make them more bluesy. And of course we'll use it right here for our intro. So all I'm doing is playing everything together, and then just sliding that B flat to the B. Now to make this swing feel that we're looking for, what I usually do is play around with the upper bass note and the lowest note of the chord, so my 2 thumbs here, and then have that syncopated, which just means playing on the off beat or not on the main beat. Little accent of the chord with that syncopation, and then have another little bass note to switch to the next chord. I'll play basically what I do just really slowly. That's how you can add a little bit of feel and the bluesy jazzy stuff that we're looking for into the song. So G7 into an F7, add 9 with that G on top. Starting with our left hand again, we've got F and then E flat, which similar to our G chord is our root note from the F chord, and then our 7th from the root chord, so F and E flat, or at least our flat and 7. And in our right hand we keep this G on top, like I mentioned before, but this time we're moving from the G and B up 1 to A, C, and G. So right hand is going to have A, C, and G with F and E flat in our left. G7, to the F7, add 9. And then we've got an E minor. We have E octaves in our left hand for the bass. Our right hand goes back to the G, B, G chord that we had at the very beginning for the G7. So that chord here, but with E in the bass, gives us an E minor. G7, F7, add 9, E minor. We play this upper E bass note, and then a little chromatic bass line, which is just G to G sharp. We've got this octave, upper A, and then we go down to our lower octave, A. So G to G sharp, A, low A. Just the left hand from the E's, we go the octave together, upper octave, G, G sharp, upper A, to lower A down there. With our upper A, we play an A7, add 9, which is the same chord that we did just before, the G, B, G chord, but we're going to add this C sharp on top of that. So the full chord is going to be G, B, C sharp, and then this G as per usual. We're going to hold all that together after our low A, and we switch to this really nice bluesy lick. Splitting that into 3 different sections, we have the start of the first one being E, up to this A, and another chromatic line. So E, then A to A sharp, to B. E, chromatic, upper D, back down to our lower E. So E, A sharp, B, upper D, lower E, end of our first part of the lick. The second part goes like this. Which is A and D together. Then we're going to count backwards 3, 2, 1, starting on B, B, A, G, back to the A and D together again. So we start here on A and D, B, G, so we start here together on the A and D, B, A, G, back to A and D, finishing on lower E. Same place that we started. So E, chromatic thing, upper D, A and D together, 3, 2, 1, back to the A and D, low E, and this time we play G and D together, back to the A and D together, and then low E. So all together, really slowly. After our lick, we move to a C major over D. In our right hand, we've got G, C, E, G. So all we're doing is playing the second inversion of C major, starting with the G, G, C, E, making sure we've got this upper G on top for our C major chord. But with our left hand, we're going to have octave D, which turns this into a C major over the D bass notes, or a C major suspended chord. But we play the two of those together into this G major here. Then we've got a little lick that we'll work on in a second. But from the very beginning of the song, we go G7 into the F7 add 9. Then we've got E minor, the chromatic bass line, into the A7 add 9, then our lick, brand new chord, C major over D, and then we're doing the exact same thing with our right hand that we did in the beginning. With the very first chord, the only difference is we have G and D rather than F in our left hand. So altogether we've got G and D, then we have G, B, and our octave G. And we can slide from the B flat up to that G like we've done before. So from the C over D, we have our G chord, and this little lick. With our left hand, all we're doing is B, A, G, just that, backwards, B, A, D. Our right hand's just going to play D, then C, then B. And with every one of these notes, we're going to have these octave Gs on the top of that. So altogether it would be B with our left hand, G, D, G in our right hand. Then we move down to A, then G, C, G in our right hand. Moving down last time to G with G, B, G in our right hand. Then we're going to come back up to this G, C, G chord with our right hand, and our left hand's going to play G and then this E. So from the end of the lick, we move up to this chord, which again was G, then this upper E, G, C, G in your right hand. that is going to take us into the start of the verse. So all together with the very beginning of the intro, we've got our G7 to the F7 add 9, E minor, lick, then we have our C over D to the G major, our 3, 2, 1 lick to C major, start of the verse. As you can see, it's basically the same chords. And then that other little lick on the top of that. The only place that we differ between the intro and verse is right when we get up to the lick. Because what we'd normally do is have the A7 add 9 with our right hand into the lick. But what we do instead is move to an A minor 7 chord, which is just the same chord in our right hand that we are playing for the C over D, which was G, C, E, and octave G. But we just keep the A's in our left hand, giving us an A minor 7. And then that takes us to the C over D, G chord, and instead of playing our 3, 2, 1 lick, we go straight to our C, which was the G, E, G, C, G, back to our G major chord, and then another little lick, which we'll work on in a second. But from the very top of the verse, what we do is we got a normal G major chord without the F, so it's G and D in our left hand, to the F7 add 9, so no different, again to this E minor. And we can add in the chromatic bass movement if you want. You don't have to add that in. I usually do just because it's easier for me. And all we're going to do is hang around on that A7 add 9 chord. Keep the A's in our left hand and just switch to an A minor 7, which again was G, C, E, and G. It's the same chord that we did with the D for our C major over D. We just play that before going to that chord. So the only difference there is the left hand moves up. Then we've got our G major like before, but we move straight into the C, back to the G major, which gives us room to play our little lick. This lick starts on the C sharp and moves up to the D. So we go C sharp, slide to the D, just like we did before with the beginning chord progression. So we go C sharp to D, then we play C, we go down to G, and then we've got our B flat to B slide. So slide here, G, then slide B flat to B, finishing on the upper G. So really slowly and all together. C, G, slide there, upper G. With our left hand, we're going to start with this low G here and F, and all we're doing is keeping this G, but just moving down from F to E and then to D. So with our G and F, we're going to play the C sharp to D slide. Then as we move down to the C in our right hand, our left hand will move to the E. Then we've got G at the end of our B flat to B slide. When we're finishing on that B, we add our D there. So F with the C sharp to D, E with our C, G, B flat to B with D, upper G. All together. that G that we finish on is at the very beginning of our verse that we play through a second time. So we jump straight to our F7, add 9, E minor, A7, add 9 to the A minor 7, then we've got our C over D, G major, straight to our C major, back to G like we did before at the end of the first time through with the verse. That moves us into this really beautiful, very warm sounding F7 add 9 chord, which takes us into the chorus, which we'll learn in the next part. But for now, we'll finish on this last chord. Left hand is F and E flat, and our right hand is going to have A, C, and G. So it's the same exact chord from before, which is our second chord for our progression. Only difference is we're going to flatten out our thumb to cover this lower G as well. So our entire right hand should be G and A, then C, octave G. So instead of just these three notes, our thumb hovers over the two down there, giving us 4, plus this note up here, plus the left hand F and E flat. To finish off the video, we'll just run through the intro and verse one more time. So we start on G7, then our F7 add 9, E minor, A7 add 9 into our lick, C over D, G major into our 3-2-1 lick, C, then we start our verse on G, F7 add 9, same things before, to the E minor, A7 add 9, but we hold on that, into the A minor 7, move just our left hand up to build the C over D, into G major, straight to C, back to G, then we have our little fill, which starts us directly onto our G major, switching to F7 add 9, A minor, then the A7 add 9, A minor 7, C over D, G, C, G, then our sort of chorus transition F7 add 9 chord, and then E major to start the chorus. If you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in part 2.